Hello, everyone. It's Shane Conto, your Wasteland reviewer, and welcome to Wasteland Talks, my weekly talk show where I talk about whatever the hell I want. And been expanding into different areas, and we'll have even more new and unique episodes coming up. But this week, we're doing another edition of ranking. And instead of having a director that ranking all their films. This time I'm going to be ranking a studio, and that is A24. I was asked to go onto a podcast for Robert's Thoughts podcast, my friend Robert, who's one of the editors at Sif Pop. So I'm like, you know what? I need to fill a week. I'm going to rank all the A24 films that I've seen, which is like 70 of them. So how this is going to work, I am going to put the list in the description of this video. But I'm just going to go through the list, say very, very brief thoughts on all of them, but they'll be pretty quick. I don't want to make this like a ridiculously long video, but hey, if you want to comment and talk more about any of these given films, or I know I already got some interesting feelings from Robert and Foster, who I'll be talking with when I shared my actual list. So I'm sure things will be interesting. But we're going to get things started then. So I have seen a grand total of 71 A24 films. I'm going to be reading these off of my list here, so don't mind me. And here's the thing, A24 is great. So honestly, most of these films, there's something special about them on some level. It's a bold and interesting and unique studio that does great work. At the bottom, The Ballad of Lefty Brown, starring Bill Pullman, is probably it's a Western. It's one of the least unique films that they have offered at A24. So it's kind of the thing where it's just doesn't hit it for me. False Positive, which I thought was pretty flawed, but I still loved Ilana Glazer, and God, Pierce Brosnan in that movie was pretty great as well. This might be a controversial one, Under the Silver Lake with Andrew Garfield. I thought he was great, but this movie just did not click for me. I thought it was a bit of a hot mess, and I could on second viewing might connect with a little bit differently. I know I felt that way about Mulholland Drive, and I kind of got that vibe about this movie. But from my one time viewing it, I wasn't very impressed. Free Fire, which I wanted to love, the 70s setting, the shootout, the action, but it was a hot mess of a film with no sense of logic or tension with this shootout. So it kind of fell flat for me. We have Trespass Against Us, which I don't perceive this as being like a bad movie or anything in particular like that. It just didn't stick out as much to me, even though it has a great duo of Michael Fassbender and Brendan Gleeson at the front of it. Then you have The Black Coat's Daughter, which was a really creepy and unnerving film. It just didn't really hammer home for me as something that I really loved. But you do have Emma Roberts, Kiernan Shipka, Lucy Boynton, all in this film, and they all do a great job. The Sky is Everywhere. Not gonna lie, love seeing Jason Segel in this, but it was a sweet and endearing little film, but definitely one of the least interesting and unique films that they had to offer. Hot Summer Nights, which I recall checking out with Timothée Chalamet and Micah Monroe, and I enjoyed it, but it wasn't something that I absolutely loved. Climax, Gaspar Noé. After just watching his latest film, Vortex, Climax is one of the most arresting experiences you'll ever have watching a film, for better or for worse. It's quite an experience, and it might drive you mad, but I can't not say that it has an incredible filmmaking prowess to it and putting it all together. Then you have American Honey, which I felt was a bit over long, but I did enjoy Sasha Lane and Shia LaBeouf in it, and Riley Keough as well. So it has a good cast. Skin, I thought was a pretty impactful film and generally is definitely worth checking out with Jamie Bell and Bill Camp. And it's a good message of a skinhead gone good kind of story. Swiss Army Man from the Daniels. This movie is definitely one of the most unique films on this list, and I feel like it just was a little too out there for me. I have to give a lot of credit though to Paul Dano and Daniel Radcliffe because they committed. He committed as a farting corpse. The Lovers. I really actually enjoyed this quite a bit. There's definitely some flaws about it that detracted for me, but Deborah Winger and Tracy Letts, Aidan Gillen, Melora Walters from Azazel Jacobs. This cast is really good, and I thought it was an interesting, like, middle-aged love story. Zola, that was quite the experience that came out last year, and I thought it was bold and engaging and crazy thrill ride, and Taylor Page and Riley Keough both did great jobs with it. Minari, the more I think about Minari, the less I love Minari, but I do still think it's a really quality film and the cast is great. It's an endearing story. And honestly, this is where this starts getting up to I think very highly of all these films, but it just doesn't stick out as much. One of the little hidden gems, Never Going Back, is a little film about two young women trying to piece money together to get the hell out of their situation. And I remember watching this and really enjoying it and loving this little film to pieces. And it's definitely one of those films that I would highly recommend. And from Maya Mitchell and Camila Morone are these two young women from writer-director Augustine Frizzle. And I think it's a really fine little film to check out. Room. Emotionally devastating. And Brie Larson is great, but there's just other films that I felt like I connected to more. Jacob Tremblay, also amazing. Tusk. What a bold, crazy film this is. And honestly, the more I think about it, this probably should be a little bit further down on my list, but this just gets on here for Kevin Smith's sheer boldness and what he was trying to do with that film. Obvious Child, which I really, really enjoyed this film as well. I put this in the same category as Never Going Back. And Jenny Slate does such a great job in this little film for Gillian Robespierre with Jake Lacey as well. And it's a great little indie quirky drama. Spring Breakers, what a crazy thrill ride Spring Breakers is. And it's one of those kinds of things where it's it just won't go away in my head. And Harmony Korine is such an interesting director with The Beach Bum and this, and Vanessa Hudgens, Selena Gomez, and of course, James Franco in this one. A Prayer Before Dawn. This is probably one of the least known films on the list, and Joe Cole kills it as this intense fighter inside a prison in Thailand, and it is impressive, it's meaningful, it's intense and action filled. On the Rocks, I love Bill Murray, and Rashida Jones is great too, and I think this is a really fine outing from Sofia Coppola. After Yang, this could be in my top 10 just for the opening credits, but this is a film very recent that I got a lot out of, with Colin Farrell and the rest of the cast in this film dealing with how do you process being connected to AI in your life. The Humans, great adaptation of a play. This cast, Richard Jenkins, and just everybody, Stephen Yeun, and it's just something really special. And I recall watching this, feeling the tension building and the emotions building. Jane Houdyshell, Amy Schumer, Beanie Feldstein, June Squibb, just a great adaptation. Locke, all you need is Tom Hardy. He just kills it this whole entire film. Lean on Pete, Charlie Plummer in this great film about a young man and his horse going on a journey. Denis Villeneuve's Enemy, Jake Gyllenhaal, such an eerie and creepy and very different kind of cinematic experience. This film's definitely grown on me a lot since I saw it, but A Ghost Story, because the Philip Lowry is such a talented director, and what he's able to do with this David Lowry's just striking direction, and Rooney Mara and Casey Affleck, and this abstract transportation through time and space is just something bold and interesting. Menashe, I remember seeing this and absolutely loving this little film about a strict Hasidic Jewish man in New York City. This is a wonderful drama. And Menashe, who stars in this film as like an exaggerated version of himself, is so endearing. And I absolutely loved every second of this film. Come On, Come On, huge fan of Mike Mills. And Joaquin Phoenix was great. The young boy who acted against him was also fantastic. Val, this documentary about Val Kilmer grabbed me. It is a tragic story of an incredible talent and the horrible journey that he's been on. The Florida Project. This is Sean Baker and this bold and engaging film with, Willem Dafoe giving a great supporting turn in this, and having Brooklyn Prince, who really shines and really makes an impact in this film as this young girl. Under the Skin is such a creepy movie, and Scarlett Johansson is so creepy, and it's such a bold science fiction story and strange horror film that just really works on many levels. This one will probably get a lot of attention, being my number 38. Forgot to keep counting the numbers. Is Moonlight, and this is a moving, incredible film with great performances, but the cinematography almost made me throw up in the middle of the theater, because even the static shots were like this the whole entire time, and I felt like I was going to throw up. And it's just like, you can't hold the camera still for a static shot, and I felt like they were trying to do too much with the handheld camera, and it really brought the experience down for me, which is one of the main reasons why that's not way up on this list. X, which I absolutely loved from this year, crazy period, just raunchy, grindhouse kind of horror film, and great experience. You have Green Room, which Patrick Stewart is leader of a bunch of skinheads, and this Anton Yelkin in this incredibly tense and just flat out traumatizing experience of a film. Saint Maud I waited so long for that film to come out, and it's bold and intriguing in everything that it does in terms of building horror with its religious imagery and everything. The Last Black Man in San Francisco, this is a beautiful film. Jonathan Majors, and just an absolutely moving experience. It's gorgeous, and this has so much to say. Jonathan Majors and Jimmy Fails, as it tells the story of like the slow decomposing of this house and this way of life in San Francisco. First Cow, one of the first big films I got to see after COVID when it came out on premium like virtual cinema, and it is a beautiful film. It's a moving film, and it goes into some intense places that I did not expect. I have the Souvenir Part II and the Souvenir right next to each other because I feel like they're such great building off points of each other, and you have such a great vehicle for Tilda Swinton's daughter, specifically Honor Swinton Byrne, and she gives such an amazing performance in this, and you just connect to this character on her whole journey. A Most Violent Year, Oscar Isaac, Jessica Chastain in this mafia movie is absolutely fantastic. Now you're going to start to see actually you probably saw it with Saint Maud, but like my tendency to really love bold, artful horror films, and A24 is right up that alley with Lamb. Oh my God, what an experience. And Numira Pace and this film, where this goes and takes you, is so unexpected. There's few films in the past like decade that I've watched that made me laugh as much as The Disaster Artist. James Franco really brought so much to that film. My fiance is gonna hate me for this. High Life with Robert Pattinson and Julia Binoche. This is such a bold and engaging and weird Claire Denis science fiction film. And yeah, some weird stuff happens in this movie with some bodily fluids. I'm going to leave it at that. First Reformed, Paul Schrader and Ethan Hawke, perfect combination. This is a bold and intense film. It's something really, really special if you haven't seen it. The Farewell, Aquafina is so great, and the actress who played her grandmother should have won an Oscar. That is such a beautiful and endearing film. Red Rocket really grabbed me, and Simon Rex did such a great performance, and I laughed so hard. And all I'm going to say is one scene running really sells that movie. Waves, I remember getting an early screening of this and being blown away by the emotion that this film has and the story that it tells. And it just digs under your skin with Kelvin Harris Jr., Lucas Hedges, Taylor Russell, Alexa Demi, this young cast with Trey Edward Schultz, such a great director. Gloria Bell, I loved this remake with Julianne Moore, and it just was a beautiful and endearing experience. Safdie Brothers with Good Time. Robert Pattinson is electric in this. This film is electric. It's crazy. The end of the tour, love this David Foster Wallace story. And Jason Segel gives such a surprising performance in this. And I wish that he would do more performances like this and do more serious things, because he's an absolute wonder in this. The Killing of the Sacred Deer, got to get that Yorgos Lanthimos in here. Saw this with my mother. You should not watch this with your mother. But this darkly Kubrickian, just uncomfortable thriller is something that is really hard to process. We got our first Alex Garland here with Men, which I recently just saw, and it's still fresh and is still like clawing at my brain with its deep themes and grotesque body horror, and fantastic performances from Jesse Buckley, and all of them from Rory Keener. Ari Aster, Midsommer, Florence Pugh killed it, and my God, this unnerving horror experience is something else. I have another documentary here, Boy State, one of my top 10 favorite documentaries. This will make you question the future of our political system, because what it portrays and what it shows you is both hopeful and terrifying at the same time. This is such a engaging and impressive documentary. More Yorgos Lanthimos with The Lobster. God, Colin Farrell and John C. Reilly are so great. Rachel Weisz. And this concept is out of this world brilliant. Slow West, huge fan of Westerns. Michael Fassbender kills it in this film. And this is a sleek, quick, gorgeous Western that really grabs your attention. How about a neo-Western and a dystopian one in The Rover with Robert Pattinson and Guy Pearce? This neo meat pie Western out in Australia is intense. It's my favorite dystopia this side of Mad Max, probably. Robert Eggers, The Witch. This is an unnerving and just brilliant telling of a truly on point and really traditional horror flick. This is real folk horror at its perfect. 20th Century Women, this movie speaks to me on such a deep level in terms of relationship between mother and son, and Mike Mills absolutely creates a wonderful and engaging experience with it. Safdie Brothers again, Uncut Gems. Sorry, couldn't resist. Adam Sandler killed it, and this film is intense as hell, and I absolutely loved every second of it. And now we're getting, that was my number 10. So now we're getting into number 9, It Comes at Night. I know a lot of people were pissed when they found out what actually comes at night. Oh, that paranoia runs deep. And this is such a thrilling and gorgeous film that really plays with your expectations. Maybe a little too much for some people. Number 8 is Eighth Grade. Bo Burnham. Wow. Just wow. You extremely talented filmmaker. And this is such a relatable and beautiful little film. Number 7, The Tragedy of Macbeth. Couldn't resist throwing out my Coen brothers, or at least Joel Coen on here. Oh, this is a strikingly gorgeous film, and Denzel Washington and Frances McDormand and everybody else kills it. Number 6, Everything Everywhere All at Once. What a film. Michelle Yeoh, the Daniels. This is one of the boldest films I've ever seen and absolutely delivers. Number 5, Lady Bird, or How I Fell in Love with Saoirse Ronan along with Brooklyn. This is such a wonderful coming of age story with such a great young cast. Number 4, The Lighthouse. Absolutely love this film. Robert Eggers, this gorgeous filmmaking, and Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe going all at it. Number 3, The Green Knight. 1 year hence. Oh, Ralph Ineson as the Green Knight and Dev Patel as Gawain, and Alicia Vikander kills it in this too. Just this is a jaw-dropping, unbelievable fantasy epic. Number 2, Hereditary. Toni Collette gives one of the greatest performances in the history of horror films, and this is emotionally devastating drama for 2/3. And when you didn't think you had anything left in the tank, then this movie flips the bird, punches you in the face, and says, now here's some horror. And it's absolutely terrifying. And my number 1, Alex Garland's Ex Machina. This is one of my top 25 favorite films of all time. This is brilliant science fiction. Oscar Isaac is fantastic, has amazing moves. And Donald Gleason and Alicia Vikander absolutely kills it and just captures your imagination with this performance. And what this says about technology and everything is something special. So I just went through all of those films in record time, but those are my thoughts and those are my rankings of all of the A24 films that I've seen. Haven't seen them all. Definitely seen a lot of them, obviously, but comment. Let me know what you think. Let's talk some movies. Let me know why you think some of mine are way too low. I know a lot of people are probably going to have some problems with Room and Moonlight, most likely, but they'll definitely be something to talk about. But leave those comments. I'm always up to talking movies. But thank you as always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland Reviewer.